Today's show is brought to you by Win the Race, the NASCAR strategy platform built for fans who want more than picks. From 100,000 race simulations and pro-level DFS tools to advanced driver and track analytics, Win the Race helps you think like a race strategist, not a spectator. Learn more at wintherace.info.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 44 of the draft. Tonight, we'll be drafting our teams for the PENNZOIL 400 at Las Vegas. Going to be an awesome race. I'm joined, as always, by the usuals, Tino Patino, Phil Eastman. What's up, fellas? And we got a special guest tonight, Brian Twining. You see him in the chat every week. You see him in the Win the Race Discord, chopping it up with the fellas. Now you get to draft your debut. How you feeling tonight, Brian?
I am beyond excited to test my skills against the three legends that are Tino, Phil, and Ryan. I couldn't be happier to be here tonight. Of course, I am very impartial about this, but Vegas is my favorite race, both of them, just because it's kind of like my home track. And so, yeah, I can't wait to get into it.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm pumped too. Tino, how you feeling tonight? Feeling good?
Feeling great. Happy to be back. Love Vegas as well. Met Brian there in person for the first time last year, and Kyle as well. And I love this track, like how it looks overall, very aesthetically pleasing. The mountains in the back, the springtime. Maybe I'll get a picture up to show for it as well during the preview. But really, just excited for what the racing looks like, and then also what the racing product is going to be. Mile and a half intermediate style track. That's what the best right now there is in the next gen.
Yeah, I mean, this track too, just multiple lanes are going to come alive throughout the race. We'll see some tire wear. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be hot too, hot and slick tracks we always love. Phil, how are you feeling tonight?
Well, I'll tell you what, I echo the excitement for Vegas. I think, the mile and a halves in general are just such a good product, and Vegas has proven to be, towards the top of that board. So I'm excited as well. Having just a brutal week work-wise, just absolutely swamped. Haven't even recorded my pod. It's going to happen later tonight. So I'm a day late on getting that out. I'm a little disheveled, a little less prepared than I typically am. So I feel a little vulnerable here with three sharks out there trying to take advantage of me. But very happy to get the win last week on the draft. So that made that made the I had a rough betting day at Vegas, and winning the draft made it all feel a little bit better. So very pumped about that.
Yeah, I mean, look at that score, dude. That is a draft right there. That is it. You beat me by 2 points. 2 points.
Great I don't know how. I sent you guys a text. I thought I had it, and then I saw you had C Bell in your bonus, and I was like, "Oh, it's over." But somehow, some way, I snuck it out.
Yeah, I needed Bell. I needed that last caution to not come out. Bell on the 4 tires to get by Blaney and win. Then I would have taken it down. But hey, that's what it is. 2-point draft. I mean, and we're both scoring over 320 points. That's an insane week. So a lot of fun. I think we were on our game last week. We said it, during the show, like Phoenix is a super predictable track until it's not. But luckily the cautions that came out at the end didn't, sway the best drivers from winning the race. And we got to see the 2 fastest cars all day battle it out at the end, which is what we're always rooting for. So that was cool. You picked the Ryan Blaney Family Foundation. So Win the Race donated there. As always, the winner of the show will pick a charity. We'll donate, after the week. All right, Phil, we're going to hop right into Las Vegas. I'm going to just kick it back to you. We're going to do a quick track preview, and then we'll get right into the draft. So what you got?
Well, yeah, I mean, I kind of feel fraudulent here. I mean, Brian's our Vegas guy. He'll be boots on the ground, but I'll give it a shot here, and then you guys can weigh in. But, we've got the first mile and a half of the year, so something to be excited about there. And like we said, great next-gen races. The race is scheduled for 4 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday on FS1. Practice and qualifying, which will be important to us, will start at 2:30 Eastern time Saturday afternoon. That'll be on Prime. Stage breaks. We got 80 laps in stage 1, 85 in stage 2, and 102 in the final stage. That's 267 laps total. As far as Goodyear notes, we've got the same left and right side combo as last fall at Vegas, last Kansas race in September, and they ran these left side tires 6 times. So last year rather. So got a good amount of stuff there to pull from. I think it's probably the same comp tracks most folks are looking at anyway. So the tires shouldn't throw us off too bad, I guess. And then 36 races in the history of the Cup Series, the winner started on the pole only 2 times. And the last time it happened was last fall, Denny Hamlin. Winner starting inside the top 10, 66% of the time. That's slightly less than what we typically see as I keep track of these each week. And winner starting outside the top 20, it's happened 5 times in the history of the track. Not much of a manufacturer edge. Chevy's got 4 of the 8 races, so a slight edge there, but they haven't won in a few races here. So, and then I'm just going to save this for my pod, but I'll throw it out there. Just a weird stat. The person starting on the outside pole, starting second, has won 6 of 36 races. So that's actually like 19% or 16% of the time. And it happened 3 times in a row during the next gen era. So it's just a weird, wonky stat, but maybe give that a look, whoever's starting second. Little edge there. I don't know why.
Nice. I noticed too, when we were talking in Discord, we were looking at stage bets, and I just happened to notice that like so I went back to 2023. So both those races and the first race in 2024, the stage winners were winning the race. And then maybe that was when they, started changing the tires, like, oh, we can't have this happen. And then the next 3 races, the stage winners didn't win the race in any of them. So whoever won stage 1 or stage 2 did not win the race in the next 3 races. So, and I think, we've kind of seen that, like, it's been a little more exciting. They've done a good job bringing a softer tire and to all these tracks. So been a lot of fun. All right, we can head into the draft now. If you're new to the show, we're going to draft 1 driver each from the 8 teams you see on top, and then 1 more driver in the bonus slot that will count from 1.25x their points. We'll use NASCAR official scoring, and the winner will choose a charity and win the race. We'll donate to that charity. There are no wrong picks. It can be data. It can be gut. It can be anything. Just something you're feeling. Could be paint. Sometimes it's a paint scheme. So we'll see what happens. Brian, I'm going to let you lead this one off. We're going to jump right into 2311. I'm going to pull up the draft board, and in your debut, I'm going to let you pick here for 2311 at Las Vegas. What do you got?
Well, I wrestled with this decision for quite a while today, but I'm going to go with the guy who was my first click this week on an outright bet, and that's going to be Bubba Wallace. I know Tyler Reddick has all the numbers here. He's been a race-winning contender in each of the last 4 trips here to Las Vegas. In fact, last year, while not a part of the playoffs, he was running in between and sometimes ahead of the majority of the playoff drivers here in Vegas. But when you look at their metrics, like the true performance ranks, for instance, Bubba Wallace really isn't that far off from Tyler Reddick. And for me, I think the tiebreaker is going to have to go to the pit crew that I think is performing the best, which is going to matter tremendously here in Las Vegas. And that's Bubba Wallace's team, who has been way better than Tyler so far to begin this year, despite not having the wins that Tyler does. Wallace has been up there in all 4 of these races that we've had so far in 2026. And Bubba was he was as good, if not better, than Reddick was at both Kansas races. And he was right there with Tyler in both Las Vegas races last year too.
Awesome. I love it. I mean, we've talked about 2311 in the Discord. I have Bubba bet 35-1 to win this race this week. And I'll just go with my next pick here. And, we'll switch it up a little bit here. I'll go with Tyler Reddick. And this is another guy I have bet this week at 12-1. So I think, very high on 2311 this weekend. Everything you just said about Bubba, I totally agree with. I looked at Charlotte, Homestead, Kansas, Texas, Las Vegas. Those are kind of the tracks I did doing, using the track similarity guide on Win the Race. It also has Chicagoland on there, but we can't, use that until after we see it this year. So, but Tyler Reddick, he's won 2 of 2 races out of that 21 race sample. He's one of only 8 drivers to win multiple races in that time. And if you look at over the last 3 years at Las Vegas only, he's running over 40% of his laps inside the top 5. So that's top 5 amongst all active drivers here at Las Vegas. So, yeah, he qualifies well. He runs up front. He just needs to finish these things a little more often. But, you can say that about quite a few drivers at Las Vegas. So some of the ends of these races get a little wonky. Phil? Actually, Tino, we haven't heard from you in a little bit, and I miss your voice. So, Tino, you go.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I'm going with Bubba Wallace as well. Love everything that Brian said. He was a driver to me that I feel like can win this race this weekend, and it will happen in a fashion that maybe not a lot of people will think about initially because of the hype surrounding the 45 car right now. He does not have the, I guess, necessary finishing results at these intermediates. When I look and I pull them up on Win the Race or any type of, site to look at the finishing results for Bubba Wallace at intermediate style racetracks, mile and a halves, he doesn't have that. But the funny part is it's because I feel like every time he's running well, going for the lead, something happens to him. And that's the first time he was really in contention to win a Vegas race. You guys remember, I believe it was 2022, him and Kyle Larson battling for the lead. And yeah, exactly. Like at the end, they were almost fighting because Bubba was so mad. My point is, we look back at last year, 5th at Kansas, 6th at Darlington, Nashville 6th, Charlotte had an issue there. But every time Homestead was top 3 car, I just feel like this could be a shot to where he pulls it off based off of the speed 2311 has brought this season.
Absolutely love it. Phil, what do you got here?
Well, we'll make it an even split, 2 and 2. So we'll start off this pretty good. I'm going with Tyler Reddick here. And I mean, Tino, love everything you're saying. As a gambler, I could get behind the Bubba Wallace play. But when you say he just hasn't gotten the finishes, that's a key here for the draft. We need them to get finishes.
Take notes. When the champion has that ring on and says things like that, I just think it. You'll see one of my picks later on in this show, and you'll say, you're learning.
Head to head at Vegas in the next gen car, it's Tyler Reddick 6-2. So like, and that's not to say Bubba hasn't performed well. He's had good starting positions here. He's ran well here. He's just, for whatever reason, I don't know, hasn't been able to overcome that. And you include the fact that Reddick is just off to a hell of a start. I understand the pit crew play, the reason to call that out. Again, as a gambler, very interested in tailing you on the Bubba play, but for the draft, I got to go with what's in front of me here with the cold hard stats. Beautiful.
I love this team. I love Bubba and Tyler Reddick this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch those boys race. And again, there is no mention of Riley Herbst when we get to 2311. All right, let's move on to a Ford camp here. This one is always interesting. And a lot of times this one decides the draft or, has a big say in who's going to win. I'll go ahead and lead this one off. This one was, I guess, not an easy one for me, but I mean, I just kind of got my guy here, and he's not my guy in many other places. So I'm going to go with Noah Gragson, home track. I figure this might be a little chalky pick on the draft tonight, just being it's his home track. But the other thing about it, too, that might make it chalky is when you do kind of dive into the stats, he does have the best average running position, in the comparable track samples that I mentioned earlier. And if you look at Vegas only, he's got a better average finish, average running position, true performance score, and win the race, over the last 3 years than his teammates at this track. So I just got to go with the homeboy, Noah Gragson, and I'm going to kick it back to Tino. Tino, what do you got here for FRM?
You're exactly right. Going with him as well. I was nervous to do so because Zane Smith has been my guy all season long for this group. I think only one time it maybe hurt me because of Coda, but either way, I said this last week, still won. So I don't feel confident or comfortable with this pick. But like you mentioned, his home track, finished 13th here last year, and that was a race to where they needed to. They need to have a strong finish. They need to get through something clean. I feel like they're in the same spot as they were last year. That tough start, one of the, I guess, least performing guys out of that group right now. He's got a 13th, 31, which isn't bad, but then 18th and 6th, and the 6th was with Stewart Haas equipment. I just feel like, you mentioned it, home track, but also the fact that he's got the reps here. And when they're looking for a guy like him at a high-speed track like this, I feel like this is a recipe for success for him.
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to get our feed going live there, so I had myself muted. X is not working, so if anyone is listening and you want to just kind of retweet the YouTube, that would be greatly appreciated. And if you guys want to fire it out there too, that'd be great. Phil, we're going to jump back to you, and then we'll let Brian finish FRM off. So, Phil, what do you got here?
I guess I'll put a little pressure on Brian because I got to go with Noah Gragson here as well. This is very rare for me. I don't know how many times I've taken him. It's definitely less than a handful, but I'm going with Gragson here on this one. And it's not even just the Vegas stuff. It's looking at his performance last year on the comp tracks. I'm including the mile and a halves from last year, those 6 races. And then according to Win the Races track comparison, Homestead's in there as well as a good comparison track. He's got 7 races, a top 10, 3 top 15s, 4 top 20s. I mean, when we get to this team, you're lowering the bar a little bit. 4 top 20s is pretty good. You put me inside the top 10, or excuse me, put me inside the top 15, top 20. I think you have a good shot of winning this group. So Gragson has done that consistently. So if you look at his Vegas stats, he's better than his teammates. If you look at 2025 comp tracks, he seems to be better than his teammates. So it's a rare Noah Gragson play for me.
We don't pick him much at all. You're correct there. It's like he's less than a handful of times throughout the season, it seems like.
Good on us
Brian.
for not doing that, by the way. Like, that shows if we're kind of smart, we shouldn't be picking this guy.
Yeah. Well, Brian, on your debut, the ultimate
Pressure.
position to either just ride with us and we just forget this category altogether this week, or you get some leverage here, my man. What do you think?
Well, I'll full disclosure, I initially wrote down Zane Smith today, but after a quick analysis, obviously using the Win the Race tools and just me wanting to give the kid a hug after watching the first episode of the Full Speed or whatever the hell it's called about the Daytona 500, I got to go with the hometown kid, Noah Gragson.
Right.
He's due for a good result here in 2026. And as you guys said, without me regurgitating all the same information, he's really not that bad at his home track. And so I just think Noah is the play here. And I also think I'm going to be slightly different a little bit later here in the draft. So I don't need to get too crazy with FRM.
Nice. Yeah, where did you hit? You had Reddick at Daytona for your bonus pick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. See. Yeah, all right. I'm curious to see where you go later. This will be good. All right, we're going to jump to a Chevy team here. We're back to some favorites to win the race now with this team. Phil, I'm going to let you lead off HMS here.
Okay. Well, little strategic play for me here. I'm going to go with William Byron as my Hendrick play. So a little foreshadowing probably. But yeah, Byron, I mean, he kind of makes me a little nervous just because I really thought he was going to come alive last week. And the fact that he didn't makes me a little nervous about like their team. But looking at Vegas, it's really tough to just completely pass him by. I'd be hard pressed to tell you the truth. Like if Bowman was in this race, I may have been persuaded to go with Bowman in this position, but just to be different, but he's not. So I'm going to stick with the guys that I called out. I mean, he's just, I don't know, tops an average running position in the 8 next gen races is, I think I saw earlier with a 7.5 average running position. That's kick ass. 1 win, 4 top 5s, 6 top 10s. Like he's going to be running up front. And as long as somebody doesn't get in his way or, act of God takes place, he should be there. And then, looking at the comps last year, second in driver rating, 104.6, one of 2 drivers above 100 in that stat. So, yeah, I mean, Byron, he just seems like the apple pie pick here. Just nice, easy, home cooking safety pick for me here at Hendrick.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people, kind of wondering, like, man, what's up with HMS and this and that? It's just like, to me, I don't think we know yet. I'm not saying not to worry at all, but I'm just saying, well, maybe I am, because I'm saying we don't know anything yet. We go to Daytona, Atlanta, Coda. Who cares about any of those? And then you get to Phoenix, where at Phoenix, like, we weren't going to be on them to win. We was Bell and Blaney all last week and all last year at these. And then you get to the championship races and we're all on, Blaney or Logano in an even year, whatever it is, but we're never really on these guys. But then you come here and you got these guys. Like you just mentioned William Byron. You go to Vegas only over the last 3 years. It's him and Kyle Larson leading the way with 5 top 10s in those 6 races. And in the last 3 years at comparable tracks to this, the ones I mentioned earlier, Byron leads everyone in average finish and has 11 top fives in those 21 races. So dude's just insane. I mean, those are top 5 finishes in over half the races. So now we get to Vegas this year. Everyone's talking about the new body. We don't know what the new body will be. We haven't been on a high banked intermediate track in the 670 horsepower package yet. This is the first one. So I think like until we see them come out this weekend, we haven't had anywhere to really compare anything. We've seen them on 2 drafting tracks, a road course, and a short flat track with extra horsepower and a super soft tire. So let's just see what we have here. Here, ton of lanes you can run. There'd be slipping and sliding. Now, I just think, this, to me, HMS can get back. I'll stop rambling now, though. My pick is going to be William Byron. I had it written down all day. All the stats I just rattled off. There you go. Brian, jumping back to you. What do you got here?
I'll just add on William Byron. We're a trash bag, and Ty Dillon not turning a blinker on from him winning two more Las Vegas races, in my opinion. Because last year, he actually cycled ahead of Kyle Larson on the final pit stop cycle before that whole Ty Dillon shenanigans, or actually before he got loose and then the Ty Dillon situation. But I'm not going to go with William Byron here. I'm actually going to take the guy that most closely resembles the Elvis impersonators as the king here in Las Vegas, Kyle Larson. He is the Las Vegas king. A little foreshadowing to maybe my direction with the bonus pick later, but how can you have a draft at Las Vegas and not include Larson in some capacity? He's going to be up there to begin the race. He's going to run the majority of his laps inside the top 3, possibly even up front. And he's going to be there at the end to maybe win.
Love it. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that's where, Phil alluded to it earlier as well. We'll talk about him later. Tino, what do you got here?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm thinking on the fly because I had a pick locked in, but with this new updated season of the draft and the bonus pick meaning so much today, I'm not gonna lie. Today, 8 different times I've switched out and tried to analyze different combinations of the bonus. And for people who may not realize it, right? Like we can pick a driver from said team, but there's a way that, how do I describe it? Like you have to make sure you get the guy you want for your team, and they can also be in the bonus. Some teams can't do that, right? If that makes sense. I don't know if I put that exactly the way I wanted it to. I'm going Kyle Larson here. I'll be straight up, thought I was going to go for him for the bonus. Changed my mind live based off of how the leaderboard's shaping out here. Want to be different in some forms. And we all talked about Larson and how good he is. One stat I'm going to pull up for him is the laps run in the top 5 at Las Vegas in the next gen era, 1,317, about 200 more than William Byron himself. Another thing I wanted to say was a chart from Mr. Daniel Cespedes, puts out great things there. Can't find it right now, searching for it, but if you guys look it up, as I do right now,
basically the one that looked like SVG at a road course, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He has led 595 laps at Las Vegas in the next gen era, and only 3 drivers have led 600 plus laps at a track, and Larson's the guy with 2 of them already. So, yeah, it's domination for him.
I was considering betting Larson's stage 2 instead of winner because he's won 4 of the last 6. He's won 5 out of the 9 races he's finished here with HMS, and you don't have to worry about, a pit cycle at the end or, I don't even remember where he did it, or running into a water barrel, or just like weird ass stuff that can lose you a race or lose the most dominant car race. But he does win, the cream rises to the top. And I think that's why you're seeing him win a lot of stage 2s here. All right, Tino, I'm not going to let you change anything here because you're going to lead off JGR once we jump back to a Toyota team.
That's a smart play. This one to me is also tricky. I wanted to go Chase Briscoe. I'm not doing that because of how important points are, and they're probably going to have a bad starting position. I like him for this weekend, top 10, top 5, but every time they brought a top 3 to 5 car to the track, they don't finish the race. So from that standpoint, I'm laying off Briscoe. I'm going to go Denny Hamlin here. Denny last week talked about how he didn't feel like the speed in his car was where it needed to be. Now, obviously, different type of racetrack, but that's something he mentioned on his podcast, where you go from a number one contender at Phoenix last year to a top 5 car. What happened? Well, changes, crew chiefs, team makes adjustments. I think for going back to a track where they won at most recently, I'm not expecting him to necessarily win this weekend, but for a JGR driver to get me points, to start relatively close to the front and be there consistently throughout the day, I love that. And I do want to shout out, while I'm talking, our boy, Zach, Team 54, great run, another top 5 out of him. I couldn't have the confidence to pick Ty Gibbs in this slot because I don't want to be the guy that ruins his good luck. So you're welcome. There you go.
Perfect. Brian, I'm going to jump to you here. JGR, what do you got?
Well, I'm not going to take Ty Gibbs either, but I do have a Ty Gibbs bet that I've placed, and that is for him to win the pole. I think this is the week that he finally grabs that all-elusive number 1 starting position. That being said, my pick for JGR is going to have to be Christopher Bell. I mentioned this heading into Phoenix last week, that Denny Hamlin, coming off of last season with the emotions that were surrounding that run, I just don't know if he can reach that level of intensity at these same races. And if you go back and you rewatch that fall Las Vegas race, albeit I was on Denny Hamlin to win, I was very happy about that. He really wasn't the best car that day, and Christopher Bell outran him for the majority of the race. In fact, Christopher Bell has beaten Denny in 4 of the last 6 Las Vegas races, and the only 2 times that Hamlin finished ahead of him, Bell finished 3rd to Hamlin's 1st last fall, and Bell wrecked in one of the 2024 races when Hamlin finished like just inside the top 10. So it's not like they have necessarily been close in terms of who's been better at this track. It's been Christopher Bell, and it's been Christopher Bell almost every single time that we've come here.
Yeah, I think like when you think of like a hot slick track too, like sliding around a little bit, like
yeah, it's
you
the
do
dirt
think of
track
Christopher
guys.
Bell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's guys like that. That's why I'll just go here too, because I had Christopher Bell written down all day. Everything you just said, everything. But he's, here's the thing too. He's going to go out late. He's a proven qualifier. So we're talking about these starting positions. Like he's going out late too. And you mentioned Gibbs. Bell, he went on a run 2 years ago, like Briscoe went on last year, where just dudes winning poles all the time and on tracks like this. So he's got 3 top 3s in his last 6 races here, and you mentioned it. He's running up front, but he's getting a lot of good finishes here as well. Yeah, give me Bell. I love him this week. Phil, jump to you.
Well, I had 2 guys written down here. Bell is the guy that I think I probably would prefer to play. I'm going to be playing.
I'll be different than you later. I already know it. So if you do want to be different,
no, because we're exactly the same right now. I don't want to keep that going around long enough,
right.
But I guess I'll be different enough from all you guys. I'm going to take Chase Briscoe and be different. His number's 14-1. I think that's a pretty that's a good value pick for Briscoe. Here's the thing. I'm hearing a lot of, like, I tune into the NASCAR radio and stuff, and everyone's like, oh, it's just like last year. Like, he's getting off to a rough start, and he'll come alive again later. And it's like the same old story. It's not the same. He has been fast every single race, and he has been thrown into this position, I would say, pretty much for zero reason of his own. Like, is there anything that you would say was his fault in anything?
Doesn't it kind of feel like Truex's last year? Like, he was always a rocket, and it just never worked out.
Wait, does that mean we can go back to blaming James Small?
Yeah.
So Briscoe's who I'm going with here. He, last time we came to Vegas, I think he finished top 5. That's when he had picked it up. You love looking at Briscoe on tracks where Truex was good, and Truex, I know we're a year removed from him now and that whole stat, but Truex was very good here. In the next gen car, he's actually got the best average finish still, 7.3. So, like, the 19 is solid. He's had a top 5, even with he's got 2 fourth place finishes. One of them was Trackhouse Racing. And then you look at last year on the comp tracks, he's got a 9.0 average finish on those 7 comp tracks. And that's including 5 top 5s. So it's a fantastic place to figure it out, get right ahead of what's looming, which is Darlington. And we know that he's going to be someone that we're looking at there. So I think this is a get right spot. This is a buy low situation for Briscoe. He just needs luck. And what kind of a place is it better to go to when you need Lady Luck than Las Vegas, boys? So Chase Briscoe is going to turn things around, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, I love that. That's what we were talking, like, you know, if he was as high as 15-1 to open the week, and it's like, I almost did it. The only thing that kept me away was the qualifying, and that's not because I don't think he can't win the race if he has a poor qualifying position. I just think that when it reopens, what if you get lucky and he's more than 14 or 15? Who knows? So I got to just take my chances there. It's not anything that I'm going to lose sleep over if I don't have, but I do think if he comes back like that and we think he's got something in practice, that maybe we take that, because I do love him here, and he used to crush everyone in Xfinity here. So, all right. Now we're going to move on to Team Penske, the winners from last week, Ryan Blaney. I'll just lead this one off because this one, I guess there's a couple ways you could go here, but I just went with Ryan Blaney. I can't look away from him now. I know here at Vegas he's had some things go wrong, quite a bit. But if we look outside of Las Vegas only, where Blaney has had terrible luck, he blows his teammates out of the water on this track type. I mean, Blaney has 6 top 5 finishes in 15 races, looking at this sample set that I have, like all the comparable tracks. And Logano only has 2. Hendrick has 0. His average running position, his true performance scores way above his teammates. He gets to go out last in qualifying. So, good chance that he's starting up front here as well. Give me Ryan Blaney. I can't go away from the speed that he's shown. And especially, and I think this is what's going to kind of change. If you look more recently, exactly what I said to start the show. The first 3 races I go back 3 years, so starting in 2023, the first 3 races there, the stage winners are winning these races. You get past that, I think we're seeing a lot more tire wear with the tires they're bringing and things like that, and that's where Ryan Blaney really shines. These long runs, he just starts passing everybody. We see him do it all the time. So give me Blaney here. Phil, I'm just going to jump right back to you. What do you got?
I'm going to go with Logano. And so I guess we'll be different twice in a row. So that's good. Logano to me is just sweet and easy here. Not necessarily slow and steady, but he's got 2 victories. His numbers compared to Blaney's are like not even close. Like Blaney, I kind of avoided Blaney last week because he was the heavy favorite on a betting card. But like the stats were there. It was in your face. He was good there. Vegas, yes, he might run well, but like we said earlier, like he hasn't gotten the finishes. Whereas you've got Logano sitting here with really good numbers at Vegas. 2 wins, 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s, 7 for 8 inside the top 15. Man, that's pretty good. Blaney's only got 3 top 15 finishes at Vegas. And then it kind of extends, if my memory serves me correctly, to the comp tracks last year as well. So I'm sticking with Logano. I mean, good to be different here. I hate fading Blaney, but it must be done.
Yeah, I think the difference is, and you look at Logano's win, like 2024. He leads like no laps. It's just a strategy-based win. It's just what we see him do, and it drives people crazy. But that's kind of what this track is. Like, you got to just be slow and, like you said, not slow and steady, but I guess smooth and steady, something like that. Just kind of not wreck out of the race. Don't make mistakes, bonehead things, and that's kind of what Logano does. He always finds himself there at the end. I'm hoping that Blaney, learns a little something from it, but a lot of times with Blaney, it isn't his fault. Like a car explodes or just something dumb. So we'll see what happens. But again, that's why I said you can go either way here. This is like some of the other teams we picked, like 23-11. Like we never look at Herbst. Like we never pick Hendrick here at all. That's just funny. So, all right, Tino, jumping to you. What do you got?
Well, 2 points to Ed, and shout out to Big Ross for mentioning the Cindric as well, who someone said they wouldn't sleep on Cindric here. Charles saying that, which, hey, sure, okay, but I thought it was just funny that Big Ross is in hibernation on Cindric, at least here on intermediates. And then if you're looking for any signs for Logano to help Phil out, hey, I mean, he's got the Brian touch. Anytime Brian is at Vegas, and he's got the PENNZOIL sponsor. So
well, this was, I was unaware of that. So yeah, thank you.
Well, I'll sort of turn the tables now, because you know who else is sponsored by PENNZOIL this week? It's Ryan Blaney. So I want to allude to last week. Okay.
Oh,
so,
wait, is that not your pick?
No, it is. It is Ryan Blaney.
Okay, all right, good.
Yeah. And I'm saying Ryan Blaney. I definitely do like Logano in this instance as well. If I could have taken them both, I would, but I have to go Blaney because we look back at last week. Okay. Drivers anticipating or weren't anticipating the higher horsepower. With higher horsepower plus tire wear and low grip, we mentioned the different grooves. Well, who is better than Ryan Blaney in terms of a long run, in terms of passing drivers in the next gen car? Absolutely no one. It's Ryan Blaney stands alone as a driver. We saw it at Phoenix. Multiple pit road penalties, goes from the back to the front. I've never seen anything really like that besides Ryan Blaney doing it at Nashville, Ryan Blaney doing it at Homestead, Ryan Blaney doing it at Vegas, Ryan Blaney doing it at Charlotte. All these types of places, he's able to drive through the field. So he not only is doing better with this higher horsepower, more or less grip type of vibe. Also, when you're seeing that, maybe more intensely at Phoenix, you have those harder braking zones. Well, that's also Ryan Blaney, which does that best, going into those corners with, high speed and then going out there with the low exit velocity. So my point is, aside from Ryan Blaney and doing all those things at Phoenix last week, he could potentially start top 5, top 10. We don't also see that all the time from this 12 group. I'd say they're not very good at qualifying consistently. Well, now he's one of the last guys, if not the last guy to go out. You start him at the front, I think he's going to stay there.
Awesome. Brian, jumping to you. What do you got here to round this out?
Honestly, this was the easiest pick I made in the draft, and it's going to be Ryan Blaney. I think everything that you guys have said surrounding Ryan Blaney, and although Phil's points on Logano are great, and Joey does love to perform when I'm there, I think when you factor in the near record temperatures we're going to have this week, which is going to make the track even slicker, I want the better wheelman, which is clearly Ryan Blaney. I think when you go back to last year, I kept preaching how results prior to 2025 meant absolutely nothing to the 12 team. And he kept proving us right in that the speed just all of a sudden showed up for that team in this package. And despite the finishing results not being there, he was clearly like a top 5 car in most of these races that have on these track types. And although I'm going against what I was saying earlier with 2311 and the pit crews, Ryan Blaney's pit crew, I guess they made some changes over the offseason that Jonathan Hassler acknowledged in the race winning press conference, and they kind of expected to sustain some of these mistakes early on in the year. His ability to drive back through the field, I think, is what separates him from the rest of the field in looking at him being able to overcome mistakes like that.
Awesome. Now we're going to jump to another Ford team here. And Brian, I'm sticking with you. You're on a roll. Keep it rolling. Who do you got?
This one was super hard. I went back and forth between 2 of the 3. I'll just go out and say, I'm not picking Brad Keselowski. He's on my absolute shit list for anything, betting, drafting, DFS, whatever. But I think I'm going to go with the guy with the longer proven track record and go with Chris Buescher. I mean, he should have won at Kansas a couple of years ago. He's been really good here at Vegas, whether he has speed or not. I mean, I don't think there's anybody in the field besides maybe the old man, Brad Keselowski, who's as good at manufacturing good results when the speed isn't necessarily there. And so although I love Ryan Preece this week, and I think he's on the upwards trajectory here, and I do think he's going to do well, I'm just going to go with the stalwart of the team and go with Buescher.
Beautiful. Phil, jumping back to you. What do you got here for RFK?
Yeah, same thing. I'm going with Busher here. It's tough for me. Like, these guys have to really show me something from the data to really get me to move off of Busher on a week to week basis. And Priest, again, he's a guy that's fun to take in a gambling sense, but for this show and this game that we're playing here, I got to go with the more consistent play to score me points. And that's been Busher here. 5 top 15s in 8 races at Vegas. I'll take that. So, I think a top 15 is going to be pretty good for this group. So, and he has been in the next gen car at least once, the top Ford at Vegas. So, I don't think you could say that about these other guys.
Yeah, I'll kind of piggyback off what you said, but about one of the other guys, and I am going to take Brad Keselowski here. And we talked about, like,
Man.
just smooth and steady, just, get the finishes. Well, for Brad here in Vegas, he has weathered the storm. He qualifies poorly all the time, finished 11th and 10th last year with 2 terrible qualifying positions. He wrecks out before that, but before then, 13th, before that, 4th, before that, 17th. But in that 17th, he finished both stages in the top 10. So to me, it's just like, it's going to be that hot, slick track with probably, I'm hoping, a good amount of tire wear. I don't mind Brad. And I thought he really bounced back last week after, once he got back in the lead lap, he started passing people. Again, this is not the same package or track type at all, but I'm not ready to just give up on him yet. I think this is the type race where it's a long race and you want to take care of your stuff and be there at the end, which he's done more often than not here. Kind of the same stats you're talking about with Chris Buescher, all these top 15 finishes and stuff. So give me Keselowski here. To me, I don't really see much of a difference between either of them, other than Keselowski is probably going to qualify worse. But if they're there together at the end of the race, I'm not too surprised. Tino, what do you got?
Well, I got the pick that just probably won me the draft this week. I'm so excited because I thought this might have been 2 or 3 of you agreeing with me on this guy. No, I'm the lone wolf. Ryan Preece, the driver who had 5 top 10s in the last 10 intermediate tracks in the last 2 seasons here. I remember, or last season, Texas. My point is, I'm on pit road at Vegas last year. Ryan Preece gets out of the car and he says, "Wow, I'm excited because we're going to have fun on mile and a halves this season." And he did that. Sure, not everywhere. Darlington stands out. Not a good track for him. Texas got into an issue there. But, Vegas, both Vegas races, top 10s. Maybe he gets lucky, if you want to say that too, with a little strategy in the first one, just like Josh Berry and Suarez were up there in the front. No. I think this is a Ryan Preece play. And I looked at Chris Buescher's stats and Vegas specifically, only 2 top 10s in the last 11. I just can't get behind a driver like that. That's, not performing the way he normally is at these types of racetracks, or at least at high speed tracks. So I love Preece here. I think he gets a top 10, and I think he continues to have a solid season because I think I'm not down on Buescher right now. I'm not like trying to hate on him, but I just feel like Preece is kind of right there with them in terms of the way that they've been running.
Awesome. Yeah, I like this team here. I like RFK. I just think they find themselves there at the end of these long races where they all manage their tires well. I just like this team. I think they're kind of a sleeper team this weekend overall, all 3 of them.
Tino, I think, kind of sold me on a Ryan Preece play. I gotta go to the lab and figure out what I'm gonna do there. I was unfamiliar with his game from last year, but I just was looking at the stats and that was a good call.
And Preece is,
I
was just going to say, and Preece is usually priced like a full $1 to $1.50 longer than Buescher or Brad at tracks that they're all very similar. How appropriate was it at Phoenix that they finished in succession to each other?
Mm-hmm.
If there's one thing RFK does, to your point, it's have equal cars. Like
exactly.
I remember, yeah. So
that's why I said that with Kez. Like, if they're there together at the end, no one is surprised. No one. And you mentioned, maybe not at Darlington. It's funny, if you go to the track similarity thing that we did, which has no bias from us at all, it just scores it. But click Darlington. There's like nothing like it. So it's like that is like its own beast. and it's really going to be its own beast next week if what Hamlin's saying is true, like over 4 seconds of fall off and shit. So that's going to be awesome. Triple header too. Trucks, O'Reilly, and Cup that weekend.
Quick question. This is not me trying to be funny or anything like that. What's the deal with Keselowski's leg? Like, is he back to full health, or is this going to, like, is he lingering or what? Like,
No, I don't think it's affecting him racing.
I wouldn't say full health, but he's definitely improving.
Okay, yeah. He is improving. I just feel like it could be one of those deals where, like, the more we race, the less harder it is to get back to, like,
I see what you're saying. Like overdoing it.
Yeah. Like, at what point? What's the event horizon there? You know what I mean? For that injury.
I'll just add, he didn't seem to struggle walking up the steps to the stage when he did his like press conference prior to practice and qualifying on last Saturday in Phoenix.
See, this is what we got here.
There we go. The insider. Yeah.
There we go.
All right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah. All right. So, all right, I'm different here, and I'm just going to stick with it then. I'm going to jump to a Chevy team, and I'm going to make my pick here, and this is where I thought I'd be different, but we'll see where you guys go. I'm Daniel Suarez this week, fellas. So I'm kind of liking how he's looking in this Spire car. And he's been a pretty good fit here. And he's decent on this track type over the last 3 years. At Las Vegas alone, he has 3 top 10s here in the last 6 races with an average finish of 10th. He's got the same true performance scores here as Carson Hocevar, who I guess I lied a few weeks ago and said I'm going to draft him every week until I die or he wins. But what he's done is kill my drafts. Lost by 2 points last week because of him again. So he's lost me more drafts than he's won me. I'm switching it up here. It's not like McDowell's out there winning me drafts. So give me Daniel Suarez, who I can back it up with some stats here too. So it's not just a complete pivot pick. Give me Suarez. Who wants to go next? Tino, you go next. Go.
Word. So before I do, Easton was on it as well. Thanking Daniel for Spire. Shout out to him. And then one of the other top comments of the night from Zach. We're going to really find out if Spire's got those JGR setups this week.
Oh, that's awesome.
So to me, I actually love that Suarez play, but it wasn't on my card, so I'm not going to go with it. I'm going to credit you because I love it, and he not only was here last year, but this is one of those tracks where he just shows up at. I'm going with Hocevar, though. It might bite me, just like you mentioned, it's been you in the past, and I understand that. You know, he's been one of those drivers that just doesn't finish races, which is what we need to do. We need to gather the most points. But when you're talking about going to fast, when you're talking about finding different lines, I just think back to Charlotte and him running top 3 with Byron and Hamlin all day there. I don't know. I just feel like it's places like this where he should be top 10. And Homestead's another great example I could bring up too. Homestead's probably a better one that I can mention because he was up there all day as well. And I believe it was like a pit road issue or something that took him out of that one too. So hopefully, he can get us the top 10 and have a smooth race. But I feel more confident in him after seeing Daniel Suarez fast in practice, qualify well, and just did he wreck like 2 or 3 times last week? That hurt my Suarez last week.
You should feel more confident on Hocevar just because I'm not mushing him. Like I'm off it. So now he's gonna open at 50-1 this week, and he's gonna go win the damn race. So, can't get this guy right. Phil, what do you got here?
Well, when you said earlier we're going to be different later, I knew that this is what you were talking about, and I knew we were not going to be different. Daniel Suarez is my pick here.
Babe, Phil.
Yeah, he surprisingly, jumps off the page to you here. 9th in average finish at Vegas, 14.3. That's not too shabby for someone like that. 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s. But then when you lower the bar a little bit, 7 for 8 top 20s. Like, I just need you to finish in the top 20 because you know who can't do that? Carson Hocevar. So like that's the tough thing for me. And the other thing is Suarez, with the weird part of the schedule, has shown that like he's fighting. Like, he's not just rolling over and taking a contract and just like gonna roll off into the desert. Like he's fighting and he's performing well in the tracks that he's been presented with. So I'm fine going to a track where he's clearly, I don't know if this is his best track, but it's pretty solid, pretty damn solid. So this is more of a course for the horse, as they say. Even though it's lowering the bar a little bit, we'll go with it. Hocevar, I mean, I think I'm playing him against him in a head-to-head. Again, I haven't recorded my pod yet, but he's written down as someone I'm fading in a head-to-head. And it's like, you mentioned Homestead, you mentioned being there all day at Charlotte, but except for the end of the day, like that. And that's what matters. Like, he's just not getting it done here and the other comps. So finishing the job. So until I see that from Hocevar, I can't get behind him. So we're going to go with Suarez and be a little off the beaten trail here with Ryan.
Same exact. That's the mental note I took from you. Like, I'm learning from the champ. So the champ is teaching me. It feels good. Ryan, what do you got here?
Well, I'm starting to feel like we're playing like a scramble instead of a 4-person battle royale, because I'm going with Carson Hocevar, just like Tino here. Everything that he said, and then the thing that stood out to me the most of what Tino said was, anytime we go to a track where speed is king, I want Carson Hocevar. He is a gas masher. He is going to be ripping that thing on the top if that's where the fast line is, or diving down into the bottom. He's, to me, one of the most likely guys that's going to dive bomb somebody on a late race restart to go for a win. And to try to get a little bit different, I want the guy that has the higher ceiling, which to me is unquestionably Carson Hocevar. Now, there was a slight trepidation in going in this direction after I saw Spire tweet out, like, we came fast last year with a picture of Michael McDowell with the pole flag. I did consider going with the old man, because myself being an old man, I like cheering for the old guys. But no, it's Carson Hocevar, and to me, there's really no question about it.
Yeah, being over 40 years old, and you guys talking about, like, Brad's got a broken leg and he's not struggling getting up the stairs. Like, I got 2 working legs and struggle getting up the stairs. So shit.
I'll just say, going against Hocevar, I'm not enjoying most of the race, right? Because he will be, like you said, he will be fast.
Oh, 100%.
And that is not a fun way to watch the race, but it's just, I gotta go with what the results are saying. So, but yeah, you're right. He will be fast, and it's going to make it a tough watch for me.
All right, we're going to jump. Well, we'll stay with a Chevy team here, but we'll jump to Trackhouse. Tino, going to lead it off with you here. What do you got for Trackhouse for this pick?
Okay, and I'm glad I'm leading it off as well, because I had in my mind to do something really crazy. And Tino is known for crazy stuff. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. Gonna go at Ross Chastain here in this one. If I'm gonna just explain my thought process, I was thinking about SVG. I just feel like he's coming around, and especially last weekend at Phoenix, the only thing that really held me up, aside from, okay, let me talk this out here, because Chastain is really, I'm not seeing the performances out of him. I guess he was there in the mix at Phoenix, got taken out last weekend, okay, but I'm really I'm feeling some SVG just overtaking him in terms of actual performances on ovals. We can't get there yet. Chastain won at Charlotte. This specific track in Vegas, he has all the finishes, like top 10 master here, although the last or few recent Vegas races didn't pan out for him. I just feel like it would be too crazy of a stretch to go SVG if it doesn't work. But for a long shot top 10, I would be willing to do that. And the other thing I wanted to mention was Phoenix would be a better track for SVG rather than an intermediate high speed like Vegas, because of the high braking zones and the difference in horsepower we saw last week.
Yeah, the last time we saw SVG here, I talked about it with E-Step this morning. He ran over almost 60% of his laps inside the top 15. It was over 30% of his laps inside the top 10. And then you hear him interviewed at some of these ovals where you can rip the top, and he's talking about how he enters and exits and learning more and more and more, watching the cars in front of him, just learning everything from experience, and he's getting better at it, which is so cool to see. He's not just out there running laps. He's out there learning, and he's out there getting better, and you can clearly see it. See it even in his qualifying runs. Just everything about it was moving up the running order. So, yeah, I love SVG. We had guys, we talked about it in Discord, had guys betting 10-1 top 10s. Freaking love that number. I hate that Bet365 is not in New York, because that seems like such an awesome book until you can't bet there. But take the 10-1 while you can. It's a fun bet too. Yeah, I don't know. I'll go here because I had to go Ross Chastain as well, but had to get my love for SVG out this weekend. But Ross Chastain, he has the stats here. I think it's a lot of recency bias too. Saying like, "Oh, Ross is having a tough year," because we've been to 2 drafting tracks, Coda and Phoenix. Like nothing is like this track. This is a completely new ball game here. 1.5 miles, high banked, intermediate track, 670 horsepower. Things that we've seen. So I think like you can kind of fall back on what we've seen at these tracks, where he's got 4 top 10s in the last 6 races here. In the larger comparison track sample that I talked about earlier, it's 21 races. He's one of 8 drivers with multiple wins in that sample size. So that's like an elite group of 8 that have won multiple races at this track type. And not much has changed here. Different body on the Chevys. We'll see, kind of how that plays out. So we can say that. But we also don't know if that different body is an actual advantage on a track type like this. We just don't know. Who knows? But I had to go with Ross Chastain here. Phil, I'll jump to you. What do you got?
Yeah, I'll go with Chastain as well. Just because I don't think this is the time I want to try to be different. I think it's a little too cute, but I'll just take my time here to reiterate the SVG improvement. His last 3 mile and a halves last year, Charlotte, a 14th place finish, a 10th place finish, a top 10 at Kansas, and then running super well at Vegas. And didn't he get like swept up in somebody's mess? He didn't even.
Yeah, it didn't end well for him, but he
got swept up.
Well.
It was
like it wasn't his fault.
Yeah, the announcers were like, "Oh no!" Like one of those. Like that is brutal. And so this is such a huge race for this team because outside of Ross, like Ross has the best average running position, or excuse me, best average finish in the next gen car at Vegas. Like he's the pick for me. But then you look at Zilish, and this is like, okay, now we finally can see what is he going to bring to the table on a cookie cutter track. Like, so it's such a big race to see temperature check wise what these guys have. I just don't have the cojones here to take one of the other two.
Oh, I love that what you just said about Zilic too, because same thing, 2 drafting tracks is what it is. Coda, the result wasn't great, but he kept coming right through the field, passing everybody, super fast that race. And then last week, didn't expect him to be great. Like that's just not. I think last week's race takes a lot of experience, and then in this car, just dealing with what you have to deal with on a short flat with that horsepower and that tire wear. You come here, now we really get to see what the kids got, I think. So it could be a lot of fun. Brian, what do you got here?
Well, I don't know if a lot of you saw, but there's a minor wrestling tie-in to this weekend's race with Tiffany Stratton being I believe she's going to be the pace car driver. And so to honor that, and in a little bit of Tino fashion, I'm going to go with none other than, and in Rob Van Dam honor, SVG. Exactly what Phil said. SVG's improvements on ovals, especially the intermediates, was very clear last year. Just looking at when we go back to Charlotte, he ran, or prior to Charlotte, it was Texas. He finished 22nd. Then at Charlotte, the longest, most grueling race that NASCAR has on the schedule, he wheeled that thing to a 14th place finish. Then at Kansas, too, he came home 10th. And then at Las Vegas, the second time we were here that we're running the same exact tires and setup that we are this weekend, his average running position was 13.7 after qualifying 13th. He's going out 10th to last this week. He looked great in both drafting tracks this year before being caught up in the shenanigans that happened there. And this guy is just learning at a faster rate than anybody that I think we've ever seen in the sport. I mean, Big Ross mentioned it here. He drove his first oval 2 years ago. And the fact that this guy is able to compete inside the top 15, let alone the friggin' top 10 at any of these types of tracks is beyond fathomable to people that have been in this sport for as long as they have. So for me, first time on the show, I can't just be super chalk. It's not who I am as a bettor either. Full disclosure, like I did play that SVG top 10 to 1, nice. Which if you play offshores like I do occasionally, it's also available at BetUS. But yeah, I love SVG. And as it was also said a little bit earlier, if he can just keep the car clean and not have somebody else's problems or a tire blowout, I think you see him run inside the top 15 for the majority of the day. And if Ross Chastain finishes top 5, so be it. But I think SVG can be just behind him.
Yeah, dude, I truly believe what I said about last week. Like, I think it takes a lot of experience and like to manage that entire race and to get a finish there. This dude finished 11th, like with no real good experience on what they dealt with last week at all in this car at all. And he finishes 11th.
Yeah, and I think too, it's also really important to remember, like, this is one of the best like drivers of the car that we have in the sport. And going back to the temperatures that we're expected to see this week and the possibility of an even slicker track, I mean, SVG is as good as there is at finding the grip. And so I just think this is the first time that we're going to see him really put his skills to like on display on an oval.
Let's go.
Perfect.
Man, now you juiced me up so much. I'm sad I didn't go with him.
Well, you can also still get his top 10 as like plus 650 at the score if you have that. I don't mind playing that number either. It's a little bit shorter than
I got something better than that where you can still get them. There's something way better than that. You can still get them. Your bonus pick.
Oh,
do it, Tito.
There you go.
Oh, I don't know about that one.
All right. So we're gonna go. So Tino, you did finish last of the main, 3 draft guys last week. So you're gonna get your chance here for the last bonus pick. So I'll go ahead and lead it off here. Mine is pretty chalky. It was never gonna change. It's Kyle Larson here for me. You talked briefly about his dominance here earlier. When we simulate this race, 200,000 times, we have him winning, almost 24% of the time. It's around 7% higher than anyone else. And I talked about this with E-Step earlier, so I'm just going to kind of repeat it. If anyone listened then, you're going to hear kind of the same stuff, but these are the numbers. 24% of the races might seem high, but over the last 3 years, Charlotte, Homestead, Kansas, Texas, Vegas, he's won 5 out of 20 races. That's 25% of the time, so more than what we simulated there. He's won 2 of the last 6 here. That's 33% of the time. He's just doing it. I mentioned all the stage 2s. He's winning 4 out of the last 6. 5 out of the 9, he's finished, the race with HMS. He's there. He just needs to finish it. So I don't know, man. In this point system, we're going to get 1.25. Even if he can just win a stage and just run up front all day, and even if he doesn't win the race, that's fine. I think he can score a ton of points here. So give me Kyle Larson. I know that's chalky, but that's where I'm at, and I didn't want to sway from that. Brian, what do you got here?
Man, the wheels are turning in my head right now, and possibly some of the Monster Beast, but I'm going to have to stick with my initial plan and just go with William Byron. That was the plan from the get-go, to maybe get a little bit different from you guys, because I expected everybody to go Larson, except for my scramble partner, Tino here. So yeah, you guys talked about it when you put the 24 in your HMS slot. He's maybe the best guy here at Las Vegas in particular, when you really dive into the numbers. And so I don't think you can leave the draft without having both him and Larson.
Yeah, he's the last one I bet this week. I mentioned the 23-11 guys I had at 12 and 35. Also took Byron 10-1. I think Byron floated back out 10-1 on like FanDuel, maybe somewhere else as well. So highly recommend 10-1 on William Byron if you're trying to get down with Willie B at Vegas. I think you should. Phil, we go to you, and then Tino will round it out.
Yeah, you know who I'm taking. It's Kyle Larson for all of those same reasons that you said, Ryan. I just, and Brian just said it as well. Like, I need to have both Larson and Byron on my draft roster this week. He's just great at this track, great at the comp tracks from last year. Like, he's first in average finish last year, 8.6 average finish, first in drive rating, 118.4 drive rating on the 7 comp tracks that I'm looking at. Second best is 104. Like, he's just a monster. And if he were to go out and just completely dog walk the field, I wouldn't be surprised. And I'm going to reap the benefits here. So he's one guy that I see could doing that. He could stink up the show. It's very possible. So Kyle Larson needed to be there. Set it up for Tino here. See who he's going with.
I think you're probably between two guys because you went a little different with JGR as well. I think their last names start with B, but let's see if you're going to switch it up here. What do you got?
Yeah. All right. Well, we got Sean McBride in chat. He's back. Good to see him. Not going Logano. Getting that out there. You can go back to whatever you're doing, my friend. Team 54. Maybe you go a little Ty Gibbs. Not going to do that either. Hope he has a great run, though. Okay. There is a driver that I'm going to mention. And it's Tyler Reddick.
I knew it.
I'm not going to go with him either.
Oh, wow.
I just wanted to shout out the paint scheme because I didn't do that in the beginning. Sick car. Paying homage to Kurt Busch. So let me pull this up here. Let me see if I could set the scene for you guys. I'm not sure if there's going to be any sound, and there's not. That's sick. This is me at Vegas last year. And now we mentioned Vegas this year. We know there's higher horsepower. The track's going to be slick. There's going to be tire wear. There's a driver out there in that field that you're watching right now that in the last 5 Vegas races, he has 3 top 3 finishes. You want a bigger sample size? In the last 16 races at this track, 11 top 10s. Okay, well, can he start up front? A 6.3 average starting position in the last 6 Vegas races. And I guess they weren't watching the draft finale, where Tino went on a rant talking about how Denny Hamlin could have won the championship race, but he elected to go for 4 tires instead of 2 at a point in which that was going to cost him the race. It was going to set him back, just like it did last week to Christopher Bell, who's in my bonus pick. To see him dominate the way he did last weekend and get nothing for it, a second place, sure, if you're cool with that. I know he's not. I know he's not cool with that. I know he's going to go out in this race now. You got a good starting spot. You can get me the stage points. Vegas is a track where he showed up before, went toe-to-toe with Kyle Larson, passed him at times, finished second in others. I think this is the track where he gets it done. And if anything can separate himself from those other JGR drivers, Bell is just faster when the season starts. It's just a fact. When he is one of those drivers to where you put them all on a grid, raw speed. He's going to be one of the best to start the year. I feel that way about Blaney, Byron, Bell. We see it with Reddick as well. I think those guys are going to come out strong, and I needed to have Bell on my card, and I'm definitely glad to have him on the bonus pick for this weekend.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Love Bell. Do you guys realize the 2 drivers that we all drafted are Kyle Larson, which is pretty obvious this week, and Noah Gragson, which I did not see coming at all. So 2 different ends of the spectrum there. Awesome draft, guys. Good work. We all got some different teams going on here. That was awesome. A lot of fun. We're going to get out of here. We're over an hour, so I want to get out of here. Brian, I'd like you to kind of plug all the great work that you and Kyle do. And if you want to plug your other stuff too, even outside of NASCAR, I'd love to do it. I know you're working on some apps and you're probably, dreading football starting up here in, a month or 2, a little more active. But go ahead. So let everyone know where they can find all your great work.
Yeah, first of all, football season hasn't ended yet with the free agency chaos that's been happening the last few days. So I've been plugging away at that while trying to shop lines. But no, you can find us over at angleofpursuit.com or on the YouTube pages, Angle of Pursuit on the X machine or Twitter, whatever the hell you want to call it. But me and Kyle, we do 2 shows a week. Obviously, we're powered by Win the Race. I don't know where we'd be without all the tools that Ryan and Greg have built. I mean, this stuff is absolutely incredible and imperative to my line shopping each week. And then I also produce content for work, which is posted over on bleachernation.com. It's Chicago-based website, and that's for Betsperts Media Group, which is what I do when I get to cover the races in a work capacity.
Awesome. Yeah, Brian is our boots on the ground in Discord. So if you're on Win the Race and you're not in Discord, I know there's quite a few of you. If you wanted to hop in there, even if you turn the notifications off, but you can, kind of hover or lurk in there and read all the good comments. And sometimes you pick up some great nuggets throughout the week and weekend, especially when we got some boots on the ground at the track. So Thanks, Brian. I mean, you crushed it tonight. A lot of fun, a lot of good data. So I love that. Tina, I'll kick it to you. Where can everyone find your stuff this weekend?
Yes, sir. Well, it was great having Brian on. Had a great time seeing him and Kyle in person last year. It was us on pit road. Super epic, super fun. So shout out to him dominating his draft. I was great to be, little partners where you're going back and forth, draft buddies, if you will, on the draft. But it was great time having you on. Love everyone in the chat as well. I'd go through them all. I'd take another hour doing it, and I love to have that problem. So thank you to everyone. Maybe next time I'll shout you out just like I normally do, but I appreciate everyone commenting and everything like you guys do. For me, you can follow me at Tino, PATTIGNO. I'll be live on SiriusXM, NASCAR Radio, Tubi TV, and the NASCAR app for my best bets. That'll be on Friday, maybe going live as well with Pete Pistone there for the pre-race show this weekend too. So going to be talking about some of the drivers we talked about tonight, maybe some others come into the mix, but I love where we're at for Vegas, and let's have a good race, boys.
Beautiful. Phil, where can everyone find your good work? I'm pumped. We got 1 week left until your truck show is back, because I love listening to that every week too. So it's good to get, multiple Phil shows throughout the week. So I don't know. And like to have racing on Friday night again. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm with you. It's been a, little hiatus here. I'm excited to get back to it for the trucks. So in due time. And while we're at it, for dollar in the swear jar, O'Reilly, anything you guys got? I'm excited for Saturday night. Saturday, we have the St. Patrick's Day parade. I'm going to be tuned up.
Throughout the day. I got one for you.
Hit me.
So took Carson Quapple over Cole Custer, minus 110. It's on DraftKings. And it's like Cole Custer might have this car prepped like it's not a green light, car, but I can't bet on that car ever. Just a flunky ass car against a Junior Motorsports car and Quapple, who I can't do it. So give me Quapple at minus 110 all day in that one. Beautiful.
Say less. I'm going to put it in as soon as we wrap up here. But yeah, you can find me Full Tank with Phil's the podcast, wherever you get your podcast from. This week has been absolute hell for me in my real job. And I've said this before, but like coming on here has been just therapeutic. This has been super fun. Brian, really appreciate your contribution tonight. It's been awesome. The chat has made me laugh like throughout this night. You guys are on fire. And so just thanks to everyone for a really great night. And I've been stressed about not getting my podcast out at the normal time. It'll be tonight, out tomorrow, so a day late. But this episode has really helped me because I've had some stuff written down that I was kind of like on the edge about. And now I'm like all in, can speak with more conviction, education. This show provided tonight was top notch. So hats off to you guys, and I'm excited to record. So thanks to everyone, and have a great race and great time for all you guys who are going.
Awesome. Love it. Love you guys. Love everyone listening. Thank you for all the comments. It's been a lot of fun. Like Phil said, it always is every single week. I can't even believe the number of comments in there when we couldn't even go live on all the channels we normally do. So thank you all for doing this for us. It's just hopefully you get something out of it too for your fantasy games. If you're going to play DFS this weekend, maybe you remember just one thing from this show that helps you, hit something big or a bet or anything like that. So thank you again. Wintherace.info is the site. You can find all the data we're talking about. Appreciate you guys. Good luck at Vegas, and we'll see you next week.